In this section, we will talk about the difference between census and sample. You can refer to page 6 and page 7 of your textbook. We take this case as example. For example, one of the student union member want to find out which place is the most popular place for the lunch in Hong Shui Kiu. Whether it is 雲貴盞 or 大發 or any other place, such that as you can introduce this place to S1 students for their lunch in the orientation day. There are several methods to collect data. You can use census or you can use sample. For the census survey, actually it means that we need to study every unit, everyone, or everything in the population, such that we can have a whole picture for everyone's favorites. If for a sample survey, we just take a small group from the population and we call it a subset of units, and that is what we call the sample. We just study what happened in the sample and we use it to estimate the behavior or the performance of the population. We can look at these two examples for the first topic. For example, say we want to know about the Hong Kong secondary school students' view on school rules. Then what should be the population? The population should be the target group. That means for this case, we should count it all secondary school students in Hong Kong. As the population is quite large, there are many secondary schools, and in each school there are more than 1,000 students. So we may take a sample. For example, say we can only take 20 secondary schools in Hong Kong as the sample, and we can conduct surveys for the students in them. For the second example is about, for example, we want to know the discrimination encountered by new immigrants from China. So if we want to have some study on them, then the population will be all these immigrants from China. So as the population also is not a small group of people, so for example, say we can conduct the survey by taking 20 of them, okay, as a sample, and then interview them one by one to get the information or any opinion from them. As two kinds of surveys are also acceptable and also will be used in different surveys. Sometimes we use census, sometimes we use sample. Of course, each of them with some advantages or disadvantages. So for example, census, and we can get all the data from each unit in the population. That means in our target group, and we can get all detailed information for our study. But the problem is it's very difficult to to collect the data from each of them, sometimes as the population is quite large. And also, if we want to collect all the data from the population, we need a higher cost, maybe we need some more manpower, and also it takes longer time for the process to collect data. And for the sample, of course, is different from census. We can make use of less time and also, of course, lower cost. But the problem is, for the sample, there should be some sampling errors. So if the sample we collect, we cannot use an appropriate rate for the sampling methods. Maybe the sample taken out may not be so representative. So whether we choose a census or sample depends on many things. So when should we use the census survey or sample survey? So usually If we do not have sufficient time or sufficient resources, which one will you choose? Of course, we should choose a sample survey. And in another speaking, if we have sufficient time and sufficient resources, of course, we can do the census survey. And what is the population and the sample represent? Population, it means all the surveying target, and sample, that means a small part of it. And which one should be used? And depends on what should be your targets, what should be your objective, and what should be your resources.